Happy Monday, everyone. It's around noon here in Pineville, Missouri on Monday, this 29th of July, 2024. Mark's been reading through the book of Genesis, and today he's going to be reading through the 31st chapter of Genesis. And here we have the continued account of the rocky relationship between Laban and Jacob. Laban promised Jacob his daughter, served 5 years, Rachel, and then deceived him and brought Leah to him, and then made him serve another 5 years for Rachel. And even after all of this, he was not grateful to Jacob for all he'd done for him. And when Jacob said he was going to leave with his family and go somewhere else, Laban tried to stop him, didn't he? And so Rachel's father had deceived Jacob, and anyway, God told Jacob to return to the land of his kindred. And so Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels, and they took off. And of course, when Laban found out about it, he was hot, and he fled after Jacob and overtook Jacob and so on. And anyway, he accused Jacob of stealing his daughter's captives, taken away with the sword. And so he was still trying to lord it over Jacob, intimidate him. And Jacob said to Laban, I was concerned that you'd try to take your daughters away from me by force. And so anyway, we know how that Rachel had stolen these images, and she sat on them so her father wouldn't find them. And Jacob reminded him that 20 years he'd been with him, and how that Laban had prospered because of Jacob's work for Laban. And Laban says, these daughters are my daughters. He still was not resigned to the fact that Jacob had worked 14 years for these two daughters. So anyway, they set up a stone, and there was a heap of witnesses, and they made a covenant between the two of them that they would get along, I guess. Jacob offered up the sacrifice and so on. So, but my question to you all this morning, have you ever had someone in your family that tried to screw you over like this? Maybe a close relative, but no matter what you tried to do to help them, they were never happy. They were not grateful what you tried to do to help them. And they never ever would say thank you, or they never ever would. It's always one-sided. Have you ever had a relationship like that in your family? It's not comfortable, is it? But anyway, that's what this story is about. FIF, friction in the family. So I'll turn this over to Mark and have him read it. And so the answer is just to be obedient to what the Lord tells you to do and move forward.
Genesis chapter 31. And he heard the words of Laban's son, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and that which was our father's hath he gotten all his glory. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, behold, it was not toward him as before. The Lord said unto Jacob, Return into the land of thy fathers, to thy kindred, I will be with thee. Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field unto his flock, said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that is not toward me as before. The God of my father hath been with me. You know that with all my power I have served your father, and your father hath deceived me and changed my wages 10 times. For God suffered him not to hurt me. If he said thus, the speckled shall be thy wages, and all the cattle bear a speckle. And if he said thus, the ringstraked shall be thy hire, then bear all the cattle ringstraked. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father and given them to me. It came to pass at the time that the cattle was conceived, that I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream. Behold, the rams was leaped upon the cattle with ringstraked, speckled, and bristles. The angel of God spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob, and I said, Here am I. And he said, Lift up now thine eyes and see all the rams which leap upon the cattle ringstraked, speckled, and grizzled, for I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. I am the God of Bethel, where thou knowest the pillar, and where thou vowest the vow unto me. Now arise, get thee out from this land, and return to the land of thy kindred. Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there yet any portion or inheritance for us in our father's house? Are we not counted of him strangers, for he has sold us, and hath quite devoured also our money? For all the rich which God hath taken from our father, that is ours, our children's now then whatsoever God hath said unto thee, do. Then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives upon camels. He carried away all his cattle and all his goods which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Pandaram, for to go with Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. And Laban went to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian, and then he told him not that he fled. So he fled with all that he had. He rose up and passed over the river and set his face toward the Mount Gilead. Told Laban on the 3rd day that Jacob was fled. He took his brethren with him and pursued after him 7 days' journey. They overtook him in the Mount Gilead. And God came to Laban the Syrian and dreamed by night and said to him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched the Mount of Gilead. Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done that thou hast stolen away unawares to me? Carried away my daughters as captives, taken with the sword. Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly and steal away from me, and didst not tell me, that I might have sent thee away with mirth and with songs, with tabret and with harp? Hast not suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters, thou hast not done foolishly in so doing. It is the power of my hand to do you hurt, but the God of your fathers spake unto me yesternight, saying, Take out thou heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. And now, though thou wouldest needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? And Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I have said, peradventure thou wouldst be taken by force thy daughters from me. And whomsoever findeth thy gods, let him not live. Before our brethren discern thou wouldst thine with me. Take it to thee, for Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. And Laban went to Jacob's tent, and to Leah's tent, and to the 2 maidservants' tents, but he found them not. Then went he out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the images and put them in the camel's furniture and sat upon them. Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. She said to her father, Let it not displease my lord, that I cannot rise before thee. Custom of women is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. Jacob was wroth and chode with Laban, and Jacob answered and said to Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? For as thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of all thy household stuff? Set it here before my brethren, thy brethren, that they may judge between us both. This 20 years have I been with thee, thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock have not eaten. That which was torn of beast I brought not unto thee, I bear the loss of it. Of my hand didst thou require it, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. Thus I was the day the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, my sleep departed from my eyes. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house, I have served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac had been with me. Surely thou hast sent me away now empty. God hath seen mine affliction, the labor of my hands, and rebuked thee yesternight. Laban answered and said unto Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children. These cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto the children which they have borne? Now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou. Let it be for a witness between me and thee. And Jacob took a stone and set it on for a pillar. Jacob said unto his brethren, gather stones. And they took stones and made a heap, and they did eat their gather. Laban called it Jerusalem. Jacob called it Gilead. Laban said, this heap is a witness between me and this day. Therefore was the name that called Gilead. And Mizpah, for he said, the Lord watch between me and thee. We are absent one from another. If thou shalt inflict my daughters, for if thou shalt take other wives beside my daughters, no man is with us. See, God is witness betwixt me and thee. And Laban said to Jacob, behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast between me and thee. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness. I will not pass over this heap to thee, that thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their father, judge betwixt us. And Jacob swore by the fear of his father Isaac. But Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did bread, and tarried all night in the mount. And early in the morning Laban rose up and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. Laban departed and returned unto his place.
Well, God delivered Jacob out of the hand of Laban. Hope you all have a blessed day.